Hey guys, this is Mel, and I am back to talk about Legends of Tomorrow episode. Well, I'm calling it 508, titled Zari, Not Zari, which premiered Tuesday, April 21st, 2020 on the CW. So yeah, huge spoiler alert. If you haven't seen the episode already, please go do so first. Then come back and see what I have to say about the episode. My other video reminders are up on screen, so take a moment to remind yourselves of those. I'm recording, well, it's 10:36 p.m., so roughly an hour and a half since the episode has ended. No, 30? No, it's only been 30 minutes since the episode has ended. Wow. But yeah. And also, just quick reminder why it's 508 for me is just because what they filmed as 508 was the Crisis episode, and since that is considered to have aired as 5x00, everything from after the Crisis, so this Zari Not Zari was actually the 9th episode filmed, but it's airing within the season as the 8th episode, so just a little clarification there. I know it's going to screw not just me up, but other people as well too, just from the coding stuff, because I know IMDb or BD or whatever that website, it includes the Crisis episode as 501 when it's not the actual premiere. So anyways, there's that. So I'm not going to do a timer today. I'm just going to talk. Hopefully it's not going to be as long just because I've had a very long day today. It's the first day of my term back, and I just spent 10 hours in a virtual classroom. So I'm pretty much exhausted, and the only reason why I didn't go to bed early right afterwards is because I really wanted to watch this Legends episode. So I'll get right into it. So first off, what happened in this episode, timeline wise, we're kind of a little bit all over the place. For the characters as a whole, it's still shortly after the events of 507, which is Ray's departure from the team. For them, it's still very fresh. They made a reference to the fact that they're still trying to find their own footing without him there. So that's a little indicator with that. As far as the timeline goes, we go to British Columbia, 2020, and then we go to Central City in 2004, 2007, 2009, 2011, 2012, 2013, 2018, and then 2020. And that's all pertaining to one storyline, and I'll get to which one in a moment. Episode reminder, I'll say the title itself, Zari Not Zari, is the fact that we do see two Zaris, or double the Zaris, if you will. We do see the Zari Tarazi, and then we do see the original Zari Tomas that we've come to know in season 3 and 4 of Legends, meeting with her season 5 version of herself. So I will get that talking through in a moment. The villain of the episode is not an encore, but it's actually one of Charlie's sisters, and that is Atropos. She is the third sister that is the one that actually cuts the string of fate and kind of end the lives, and Charlie says that she enjoyed doing it as well. So while Charlie was the one that spun the thread, her next sister is the one who would measure it, and I think it's Laisha. It starts with an L. I know that. It'll be up on screen. And then the third sister, which is Atropos, is the one who cuts the thread the final time, which results in the end of a person's life or the end of their fate. Now, I only know Atropo from Supernatural. They feature her in the Titanic episode in season 6. So that's the only version I know of the character. Aside from like the what I've learned in classical mythology class a long time ago, and then whatever research. But we get the Legends version of that in this episode. So moving on to the storylines, or the episode breakdown, if you will, picked up on 3 different ones. First one being the trip to British Columbia, 2020. The second one dealing with the totem town that Behrad calls it, so going inside the totem itself to converse with the ancestors. And the third one is Central City, ranging from 2004 to 2020. So the first storyline, when we're going to British Columbia, this is where we get Sarah, Charlie, and Constantine trying to look for the next piece of the loom. It seems like all the pieces, Charlie had transfigured it to all be rings. I thought they'd all be different pieces, like they'd all be different pieces as she transformed them into, and it just so happened the first one was a ring, but it seems like she did each part of them as a ring. When I found out that the second was a ring, it did remind me of the Supernatural season 5 when they introduced the idea of the 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse each having their own ring. So now it has me wondering if there's only 3 ring pieces for the loom or if there's more. So we do see both of the ring pieces, 2 of them, I would say. Atropos at one point does get her hands on both of them, only to lose them later on. So there's a little bit about that. During this trip, we find out that Charlie's actual, I guess, human persona is her of a child. She is the youngest of the 3 Fate sisters. It's cute little kid for sure. But we do see her actually revert back to that form when it was just her and her sister. So we do see that when things got very dangerous, she reverted back to the form of Charlie that we know. Also, Atropos showed her true form, not to us, we don't see it, we just see her as a very bright, glowing figure. But Sarah apparently not only sees her true form, but survives it, which is something that stumps Atropos herself, even questioning the point of what is she type of thing. So we get her surviving that. We also get Constantine surviving the fight with Atropos, not because of her true form, but it's been implied that he did a spell of some sort that could have been a protection based off of the symbol he had on his chest. I don't know if that was a callback to where they placed it as a callback to the supernatural, since they did reference supernatural a lot in this episode. Just from the mere fact that they were in British Columbia, they pointed out that they were on a supernatural. They were entering into a place they were filming for Supernatural. They included the Impala. They took a bunch of the Supernatural prop weaponry. They had some of the supposed dead cast of the show. A lot of actual name mentions from the show itself. So I don't know if Constantine's own little sigil on his chest was meant to just be a coincidence, or if it was truly meant to be an Easter egg that Supernatural has a protective sigil on the Winchester's chest as well, considering the Impala's appearance and stuff. So that's what the BC portion of the episode was about. And then when you get the second storyline, when it deals with Totem Town, this is when we get Zari meeting her other self. She's been haunted. She's finding of like old memories that she doesn't understand. She's finding that she's been hallucinating a bunch of things, sleepwalking into Nathan's bedroom and not realizing how, hacking or sleep hacking against Gideon. So with Bayrod's suggestion, he suggests that she goes into the totem and commune with the ancestors to get answers, and instead of the ancestors, she meets this other version of herself. So she comes to an understanding of, I think she gets an understanding of who this other Zari was. I don't know if she knows the extensive details of where that other Zari was coming from. The fact that she lived in a world where her whole family was dead. The fact that she had to, she took on what the role of what her brother would have done, and like all these hardships she had to go through. I don't know if original Zari went into that amount of detail, or if she only gave her like the Cliff Notes version of this is what your life was like before the legend saved the world and saved your future type of thing. So I don't know to what extent, how close they got to, but there were answers definitely for Zari to come away from it feeling excited that she understood what was happening to her, why she was feeling like she wasn't herself, or like it was someone else that was taking over. So there's that. They left on good terms though. Of course, Zari returned with not so good terms, but we'll get to that in a moment. With the third storyline, though, we do get the Central City, the 2004, 7, 9, 11, 12, 13, 18, and 20 visits, and that is because Ava helps Mick revisit key moments in his daughter Lita's life to help better his dynamic with her, because she still hates him, thinks that he abandoned her. So 2004, he met baby Lita. 2007, bedtime stories. 9, first lost tooth. 11 was the soccer game. 12 was the volcano project. 13 was the what was 13? 13 was some, what was 13? Shoot, I don't even remember what 13 was. I'll have the what he did in each year up on screen, but 18 was when she went to the dance, or homecoming. And then 2012 is the current year right now with her. And instead they find out that all that backfired. It just further proved to Lita that he bailed on her time and time again. So Ava just ultimately tells Mick to stop doing shortcuts and just actually apologize to his daughter. which is something he does. We don't see it, but it's implied that he goes through with it. So there's that. Now, the last moments of the episode show Zari going to Constantine and declaring that she's sticking with him until he finds the loom so that she can use it to bring Behrad back, because Atropos killed him. She cut his cord and ended his fate right there and then, before she could return from the Totem Town journey she was on. So now she's more determined than ever to get her brother back. So there's a little bit of old Zari coming in that moment. So there's that. But tidbits, though, again, like I mentioned, Supernatural was brought up. It was confirmed in this episode that Supernatural is just a TV show shot in British Columbia, 2020. And that Sarah's a huge fan of the show. The fact that she is a Dean girl. The fact that Dean Winchester is her own hall pass. And so there's that. Well, Charlie hasn't heard of the show. And then also we do see, when they saw dead crew members of Supernatural, Sarah even said, well, if they're dead, who is shooting season 15? So they mile marker the fact that it is season 15 for Supernatural and making a line. So I know that scene, not that particular scene, but the scene where they realized that they were on a Supernatural set or walking into one, that was actually the sneak peek clip that they released before the episode aired. And I was reading through the comments that a lot of people were wondering about how this confirmation could possibly be connected to Supernatural in a sense. A lot of people question the fact, if Earth Prime Supernatural is only a TV show, does that mean our version of Supernatural is wiped out because of Crisis? But then there's another theory saying that, in season 6 of Supernatural, Sam and Dean went to a world where their lives were just a show called Supernatural. So there's the question whether or not that world is the new Earth Prime in a sense. So it was very interesting, since both shows do feature the idea of the multiverse, to just how they connect with each other. So I do like, in some aspect, they've now established that one could exist with the other. So that is something there. Another thing is that we learn a little bit about Atropos, and since she is a god, she claims herself to be a god. She seems to be able to detect blood relations. She did so with Behrad and Zari. She also seems to be invincible towards normal weapons, as well as hell weapons. She did not react to the Genghis Khan sword that Sarah used against her. She definitely did not react to any other types of weapons that they used beforehand on her that were part of the props bag for the Supernatural stuff that Sarah stole. Also, it seems like you could cut a bunch of her limbs off and she would have them rematerialize again. So we don't know for sure what exactly could kill them, unless they were somehow, the only way I could see them being able to stop her is if they somehow made her mortal, like they were able to make Charlie into a mortal, where she could bleed and die like a regular human. So unless they find a way to do that to her, then I don't know how they're going to stop her. I also forgot to mention beforehand, but another tidbit is the fact that they confirmed that the coin maker that Astra's been going to is actually the second Fate sister. She's the one that measures the strands of fate. And she's actually the one that put so Atropos was looking for Charlie. She went to the smell band that we originally met Charlie with. She went to them, slaughtered them, and then afterwards she went to hell to go see the coin maker. And after putting two and two together that it's the time traveler Charlie that they're looking after, Atropos started going after Constantine because the coin maker could locate John through his coin that Astra left in the coin maker's possession. So I did predict in my previous video that I thought the coin maker might be one of the sisters, and I was proven right. So I'm happy about that. So there is that. So that's the last tidbit. So let's move on to the most shocking moment of the episode. I think it'd have to be the fact that Behrad was killed. I mean, I know he's not a series regular, but I kind of hoped that he would still survive. I mean, I really like him, and like the level he brings to the team. So the fact that he died in the way that he died was just like, no, I'm not okay with that, and we'll get to that later. But moving on to top 3 favorite moments, I really liked the fact that we got to see Zari and OG Zari together. Again, if you've read any of my other videos, then you kind of know that I've always been fascinated when it's always one actress playing 2 characters sharing the same screen together. So like Orphan Black being a huge one. So I've always been interested in the technicalities behind it and how you would be able to orchestrate that. I was able to do that with one of my my presentation projects a few weeks ago. Naturally, I was sitting down, so I'm not able to have the same kind of setup and rig and consistency to do a moving shot like that. But it was very great to see how they were able to do it with the 2 Zaris. So I really like that. It's just like also the 2 dynamics between them and seeing how different they were and seeing the contrast between them in the moment. And then also seeing how they riffed off each other was pretty cool. So I did like that. Another tie into that is that I also liked that we got to see more of the dynamic between Zari and Behrad, their sibling dynamic. It was great to see not only their contrast between each other, but also to see that history between them and how like they riffed off of each other, how like they're calling back to certain things, certain habits they've done since they were kids that they've taken away into into adulthood. So it's just like, it was great to see them having more together. And then it also kind of made me mad that original Zari couldn't meet Behrad. And then the fact that they even posed the possibility of that happening between the 2 Zaris, only to find out that Behrad was just killed off. It's just like, no, I would have loved for original Zari to have met the brother she did everything she could to save. So I really want to see that happen for sure. Another favorite, again, I would put this as first, but because it's not really actually part of the, like, it's the supernatural stuff. Can you really blame me for not including it? But I definitely saw the photos about them including the Impala. So always there was going to be the fact that people were saying like, no, they're just going to establish it as a show. We're not going to see anybody on it. The Impala is the only character we'd actually officially see. But just to have it, so then like I thought it was just going to be like an Easter egg where they're not going to like bring attention to it. But the fact that they actually said, oh, Supernatural is filming here, pretty cool. The fact that they've granted Sarah the title of being a Supernatural the fan, the fact that they already gave her a Winchester brother that was her favorite, which was Dean, that I didn't expect. The fact that they later on even said, they said Winchester brothers, and then later on she even said, well, Sam and Dean don't need this. The actual quotes will be on screen. So the fact that they actually, and said like who's filming season 15, the fact that they went into detail about the show instead of just saying like, oh, it's a show about these 2 brothers that hunt monsters. They could have ended it there instead of when they found the car. They could have just, oh, it's used on some show that has 2 brothers hunting monsters. They could have left it there, but the fact that they labeled it as like, no, this is a prop from Supernatural, and then actual characters from the show, and the fact that they're in season 15, the fact that they're actually in British Columbia in 2020. I wasn't expecting to go in a level of detail to confirm like, yes, we are talking about Supernatural. There's no question about us whether or not we were alluding to it or trying to make like one of those fictional versions that are parodies off of the actual series. So it's just like, I really like that it was actually confirmed. Yes, I kind of wish that we got to see one of the actors from Supernatural coming on as their real life selves. Like say if it's like either Jensen or Jared, or their stunt doubles being in the background or something, and it's just behind them. It's like you getting like, oh, it's them, and then they turn, it's like, oh, wait, no, it's not, type of thing. But it's just like the fact that how many levels they confirmed it was not something I was expecting, so that's definitely a favorite for me. And then the last favorite I would have to say is Mick and Ava teaming up and going to Central City 8 different times in Lita's life, and yet still wearing the exact same thing and still looking the exact same way. And yet this kid keeps on growing, and there's like no question of the fact that like, hey, you, like for the kid, it'd be like it's been a few years since I've seen you. But for Mick and Ava, it's like, oh, we just saw you like 2 minutes ago. We just saw you 5 minutes ago type of thing. So it's like, it was pretty cool to see all the different scenarios Mick was getting into with his daughter, and then having Ava just there with the Polaroid camera. I thought that was pretty fun. It was definitely a bonding moment between the two of them. But then it was also just funny, the fact that you are literally, if you were to take a picture of Ava taking a picture of Mick and Lita, of the 8 times they were just with her, and then just say see Ava's just wearing the exact same thing, Mick is just wearing the exact same thing, they have not aged a bit. It's like, wouldn't you put a question to that? I mean, it's very easy for Mick to still look the same over the course of 16 years for her. But it's just like, it was just a funny little thing right there. So there's that. But moving on to top 3 peeved moments, I think I mentioned it already, is the fact that Behrad was killed. The fact that he was killed just when it was suggested that he would meet original Zari too. It's just like, no. Also a little worrying because, like I said, he's not a series regular. So that has me a little worried that maybe this is it and like he's just like actually dead. But then Zari is determined to use the loom to get her brother back. Plus, also, it just hits hard because we just lost Ray on the team, and now we're losing Behrad. It's just like, no, not okay. So, there's that. But let's move on to random questions very quickly. The first one is, or it's kind of like a two-parter, but do you think Sarah survived seeing Atropo's true form is due to the fact that Sarah has already died and come back to life? Or could it have anything to do with the fact that she is the paragon of destiny as of the whole Crisis of Infinite Earths thing? I gotta feel like there has to be something specific about Sarah, who everyone thinks is just a human, as to why she is immune to this god's true form. There's got to be something. Maybe this ties into how she gets her powers, but then they really got to explain to it how she would have the powers now and not have it earlier on. But I would, as of right now, I would think that her being a paragon and her having died before would have maybe been an attributing factor, or maybe the very reason why she was able to survive the godly blast from Tropos. So that's a random question for you guys there. Another one is, would it have made a difference? Do you think it would have made a difference if Mick had told his daughter where he's been since 2015? Because she even made it a point saying, like, because he tried to use the excuse, like, oh, I've been in jail. Like, that's the reason why I haven't been with you all these years. But then she brings up the fact that you haven't been in jail since 2015. So I'm wondering if he had been truthful to her about the fact that he's traveling through history on a time ship, and that's why he can't be with her or as often as she would like. I wonder if that would change her perspective of him, or if that would just cause more troubles than he would have liked. Again, I kind of want to see that conversation happening, because if anything, he can always use the memory wipe device that they have if it really is an issue. So that is something, that was a question there. And then I think I had another one. No, I think I gathered everything. Okay, so that's pretty much it there. So let's move on to predictions very quickly. So based off the promo for what I'm calling 509, but what production has labeled as 510, is, well, the promo shows Charlie has a new hairstyle, which I'm loving the color for it. So she has like pinks and blues, I think, in her hair. So pretty cool. Looks like a bunch of the characters are heading to hell looking for answers. And it seems like Astra has been sending her corrupt souls to target Constantine. They're also showing repeat footage of Rasputin, of Bugsy. Who else do they show? Of who else? Was it Genghis Khan? Well, a bunch of them. They definitely showed a bunch of the previous encores in the promo as well. So I don't know if it's because like they're reusing footage, or if it's because we're actually seeing them again when they come after Constantine once again. So I don't know about that. But based off the synopsis, though, for the episode, it reads that with Sarah recuperating from her latest battle, Charlie starts to notice something might not be right with her. Still searching for the loom, Constantine and Zari find themselves trapped in a 1910 boarding house with a slew of out-of-time encores. Meanwhile, Ava, Gary, and Rory take a trip while Nate and Charlie hold down the Wave Rider. Also, Astra is supposed to appear as well. So it seems we have a little bit of everything going on in this episode, which I can't wait to see. I'm glad to see the episodes are back up and running. Don't know for how long that's going to be until... I'm assuming that Legends finished production since they were on a mid-season break already. So, and they're only supposed to have 16 episodes to shoot this year. So I would assume that they're done shooting and we could just watch it to the very end. But I don't know if it's still going to be airing to coincide with the Flash's episodes, because I know the Flash didn't finish producing all of their episodes meant for this season. So I guess we'll have to play it by ear for that. But that's it that I have to say for the episode. What do you guys think about it? What do you guys like about it? What do you think will happen next? Let me know in the comments down below. Love to hear your thoughts, theories, and opinions about all that good stuff. Also, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to my channel, and check out my other videos if you haven't done so already. If you want, check out my Tumblr page. The link for that is down below. I read blog promos, web clips, quotes, gifs, synopses, news, all the good stuff all found in one place. Go check that out. I am behind. I did a little bit of updating during my my semester break. So check that out. But be aware of that. Also, WordPress, link for that is down below. Anything I post online is connected to WordPress. A little more organized, a little more detailed, but still a work in progress as well. So, yeah. I don't know if I'm going to do another Legends video. It really is going to depend how I'm faring in my semester. Today was literally the first day back. So I don't know how much homework going to be by the time next week rolls around. But put on the notification bell if you do want to stay in tune. I really appreciate that. But if not, I'll try to do, if not a video per episode, or I might just chunk two together depending on how the schedule goes for me. So there's that. Also, if you want, in the meantime, check out my other videos. If I cover any other TV show you want. If you want an Arrowverse related one, I did post a video about TV crossovers, which I do talk about the Arrowverse about in that one. It's just giving my thoughts, not only from a fan standpoint, but from a screenwriting student standpoint, about what I look for or gravitate towards when it comes to TV crossover moments. So maybe if you guys are interested, go check that out. Also, I did have a video, or I did have a question in that video, so if you want, answer that in the comments down below there. But that is pretty much it, guys. So thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your patience. I hope you come back next time to see what I have to say about the next episode. But until then, guys, this is Mel. Wish you all a great day, great week, wherever you are. And I really got to go to bed. So take care, guys. Bye.